what are things that at your doctor's office should you be checking, looking for, asking questions about, going in there prepared? Because again, like we already said, you have a very short time window to kind of get down the important pieces that you need to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So from a patient perspective, I usually tell people, come in there with questions. You may not think you have any questions. You may think all is well. That things that's in the back of your mind that you've been always like, yeah, that's kind of weird that I do that. I'm not sure if that's normal. Perfect time to ask it. It may not require any follow-up. It may be something little, but when you have that face-to-face opportunity to see if something that's bothering you or like worries you is normal or that you have questions about, that's the time to do it. So come to appointments with questions. This thing I usually recommend for other providers, especially people who are on the front lines of preventive care, family practitioners, OBGYNs, internal medicine, think about where a person is in their life and how to prevent things for the future. So many times people come to these visits and we're talking about cancer prevention, pap smears to screen for cervical cancer, mammograms for breast cancer, which are very important things. But like somebody reproductively aged, for example, if somebody walks in, they're 30, they may be single, they may be not in a relationship, but like that's the time to start saying like, hey, have you thought about if you ever want biological kids? Or people who are like, yeah, my period's normal. Tell me a little bit about what's normal. Get some extra details. Because what if their normal is like soaking through pads 3 days out of the month?
They can't go to school or work.
Exactly. So kind of thinking advance. For my perimenopausal patients, I'll start asking, like patients who are 40s. I'm like, hey, do you get any hot flashes or sweats? How's that concentration? Even a quick, like asking it and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Perfect. But then you might stumble on that patient who's like, you know what? I really haven't slept for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. That may begin the conversation about something that can address that patient's needs. So I think on both ends, coming in with questions as a patient, for the providers, just thinking about what could be coming, the next stage of life and how to prepare that patient for it.
And I love that you said that because I had a conversation with an OBGYN a couple of years ago, and we just had a conversation about preventive care because we kept getting women that would say, I'm 42 now and nobody told me that, you know, whatever. No one told me about my eggs and that after 35 it begins to diminish and all of these other things. Or no one told me that I could have just done an AMH test, a blood test that could even give me a baseline of where I was in my early 30s, my late 20s. And I had a conversation with the OBGYN and I said the same thing. And she was like, well, you know, it's really not our place because we don't have the time to explain to someone if a result comes back. We don't really have the time to explain to them, what does that mean? And how is that going to affect you? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get it. But then where are they supposed to get this information? Where are they supposed to get this baseline you don't want to send them to a reproductive endocrinologist. The majority of them can't afford it. Where do they go?
But you know, it is a very frustrating system because I understand that feeling if there's not enough time, but there are so many resources to our disposal these days, which is a wonderful thing. So for example, we might need follow-up appointments, but if we don't have time, maybe we're not the provider to kind of delve into those particular topics, have like a quick list of resources. Hey, how about we get you here, here, and here if I notice this is the issue? Or for me, I'm a very visual person. Even as a patient myself, I need somebody to hand me things, let me read it when I get home. So I'm somebody who's quick to say, hey, check out this app and they'll have more information here. You've been diagnosed with this endometriosis, interstitial cystitis. Check out these societies. They can answer questions and there's forums. So just being able to provide resources because we're only one person ourselves as healthcare providers in a busy time crunch, that could be useful too.
So can they go to their gyno and say, hey, I'm not interested in having kids, but I do want to have a baseline. Can you run my blood work for my AMH or my FSH or my LH, or can you do that?
Yes, which is great. But I think that education is a key part of that. And so for healthcare providers, knowing if you trying to be educated on it. And if you're not the right person, don't order tests that you don't feel comfortable doing. Most OBGYNs should hopefully know this information, but also educating our patients to understand what that means. Like, hey, we're going to do these fertility tests, but like, let's talk about fertility. Let's talk about optimizing it. Let's talk about the fact that this is one component of a bigger picture. So this is not the kind of detailed conversation you're going to have at an annual wellness visit, but hey, let's get you back in. Let's have a preconception consultation or talk about infertility if you actually are meeting criteria for that, so that we now can sit down, have this conversation, talk about tests. You're probably going to have a ton of questions and have that kind of opportunity.
And can we have that conversation with your gyno before you go to a reproductive endocrinologist? Like, you're not having to jump from, okay, I'm thinking about a baby and I tried for 30 days and I didn't get pregnant, so I'm automatically going to go see a fertility specialist.
Exactly. And, I usually encourage people, like if you have the resources and you just want to go straight to a reproductive endocrinologist, please go for it. But most OBGYNs should have the skill set to begin that initial evaluation. That's part of our training, to know how to escalate things to a certain level before saying it's time to move on, and to also not waste anybody's time. By the time people come talking to you about trying to be pregnant, they wanted to be pregnant yesterday. So we don't want to waste anyone's time. So let's start to expedite these conversations, this testing, to get you to the place that you need to go, hopefully either pregnant or if you need some treatment.